Good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and I want to talk to you today about getting ready for the collapse of America, the fragmentation of America, the balkanization of America. I think that it's sure to come, and I don't think that people are really giving that the consideration it deserves. But there's a lot of us who feel that this is unavoidable. And I'm going to be reading a couple of things to you here in a minute. One is kind of the entry to a book written by a friend of mine, Mike Morton, and it is Balkanized, the Collapse of the American Union. I'm going to tell you right now, this is brilliant. This is a brilliantly written book, and I'm going to read a little bit out of that, and then I'm going to read something else. Uh, oh, a good thing. Well, two announcements before we get into this. First off, the annual gathering, the annual Stonemont Integrative Preparedness Gathering, will be October 4th. I'll start talking about it more now. We're 2 months out. We're going to have it in a different location than we did last time. This new location is really nice. It's going to be in Olathe, Kansas. Right. Just look it up. It's a great location, and we're going to have a good time. And we'll be putting up a website on it, and I'll be talking more about the particulars on the Patreon channel. I haven't decided whether I'm going to put the information out on the YouTube channel or not. This is not an open activity. This isn't a prepper conference or anything like this. This is a gathering of Stonemonters and viewers of my channels and readers of my books. And we just had a great time last year. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again and having more of a chance to talk to more of you more than I did last year. And meeting all the new folks. Be good to meet you all. We'll have a great day. You will meet some exceptional people. So if you are not with us on the Patreon channel, I would suggest you get on there. You'll hear them up. First off, you'll get so much more on there than you do on YouTube. But that's where you'll get more information on this. So put that in your book, October 4th. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun time. And I'm going to have a couple of things out there. We will have new mugs for those who come, and I'll put up, you'll be able to order them ahead of time, that will say, and many of you got the mugs from the first gathering, but I didn't know how many to print and how many were going to be out there. And so this time I'm going to let you order them through the website, and they're just going to be $10. Just $10, because I want you all to be able to have as many as you want. And you're already spending money to get here. This is not a money-making situation. Although I will have, hopefully I'll have the new book out that you guys I can sign them for you out there. We'll see how that works out. And I think we'll have t-shirts or sweatshirts printed up just for those who come there. And you'll have to pre-order them so I make enough in the right sizes and don't make too much and all that. But I'll tell you more about that when we get closer to it. Speaking of books, we had a pleasant surprise. We got a big order from our printer of the Stonemont series last week, and I got a bunch of those out in the mail, shipped them out yesterday. So that's good. That, as many of you know, I'm not advertising my books anymore on here until we get caught up. We're still about a month and a half behind on order fulfillment, and so but we have 2 more big orders coming in the next week and a half, I think. So hopefully in a few weeks we're going to be caught up, and then I'll start telling you about them again. And thank you all for your patience. I appreciate that. You all have been so patient, and we did have one asshat. I have to say this. I'll just share this with you. My order fulfillment people said they got one really rude comment from somebody, a message. I don't check the messages. I don't check the emails or anything like that. That's I just don't have time, to be honest. But they said somebody sent just a really rude. Where's my books? And I just well, we filled his order, but he will be on the no reorder list because I don't let people be rude to my people, and he won't be able to order anymore directly from me. He can still get them through Amazon, but I'm not going to sign any books for anybody who is rude to any of my people. So there you have it. Okay, have we covered all that stuff? Have a couple of questions that people have asked me to answer. I'm not going to do it on this, but I'll tell you the kind they are. Somebody said we'd like more of your life experiences, whether undercover or law enforcement or martial arts, stuff like that. I don't really get into personal information on the YouTube channel that much. I do most of that on Patreon, so maybe I'll do that. Had somebody ask what I thought the best martial art was. Maybe I'll get them. Maybe I'll do one on answering some questions or something. We'll see. And what's the best firearm to carry? I'll make a second one on that. Okay? All right. I want to read you something from Mike Morton's book. Mike is a friend of mine, and I'll give you a short background on him. He's a retired law enforcement from the United States, also former military. He now lives in South America, Colombia, and he specializes in training the special police and military groups in South and Central America. And Mike is a thinker. We have a lot of thinkers over on Patreon, on our Patreon site. But he is, and I love reading his book. I'm going to read the prologue. It's very short, but it tells you exactly what's going on. From his new book, Balkanized, the collapse of the American Union, Michael Morton. It's on Amazon. Go get it. You will learn a lot. You will be enlightened, and you need this battle plan. Okay? All right. The erosion of unity, he calls the prologue. In the early decades of the 21st century, the United States remained a superpower by nearly every conventional measure. Its economy, military capabilities, and cultural influence spanned the globe. Yet beneath the surface, deep and widening fractures suggested that its internal cohesion was under strain. Political division, regional polarization, cultural fragmentation, and widespread institutional distrust increasingly threatened the stability of the Union. The once sacred notion of one nation indivisible began to sound aspirational, if not hollow. Over the past 2 decades, the United States has experienced a dramatic rise in political and ideological polarization. Pew Research Center surveys show that Democrats and Republicans are more ideologically divided today than at any point in modern history, with fewer moderates and greater animosity between parties. According to a 2002 Pew study, 72% of Republicans and 63% of Democrats viewed the opposing party as a threat to the nation's well-being. In 1994, those figures were only 17 and 16%, respectively. This rising hostility has extended beyond the political arena. State governments have increasingly pursued policies that reflect distinct regional identities, often in open defiance of federal norms or directives. In multiple states, elected officials have proposed or implemented laws designed to shield their jurisdictions from federal enforcement. Examples range from Second Amendment sanctuary laws to environmental regulation nullification and challenges to federal pandemic mandates. Meanwhile, grassroots secessionist movements have gained traction. The Texas Nationalist Movement, founded in 2005, has grown in membership and visibility, advocating for the state's independence from the United States. In California, the Calexit campaign gained national attention following the 2016 election. Elsewhere, states like Oregon have witnessed efforts to shift rural counties into neighboring states whose values better reflect local preferences. These are not isolated fringe movements. They are public expressions of a deeper structural discontent. This book does not aim to speculate or forecast. It does not offer sensationalist predictions or dramatize Civil War scenarios. Instead, it seeks to document, analyze, and understand the historical, legal, political, and cultural factors that have brought the United States to a point where the concept of national unity is under serious strain. It explores how real events, real movements, and real policies, past and present, reflect a trend toward fragmentation. And this is not a prophecy of collapse. It is a portrait of erosion. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Balkanized, the collapse of the American Union, Michael Morton, get it on Amazon. You will learn a lot. This will prepare you for what's coming. So what is coming? I've talked about this before. I'm going to read you something else in just a minute, but I want to insert this here. I've talked before about how America is divided more than I have ever seen it. Okay, now I've been around. I was born in the early 50s, so I have been there and I have seen it. I have seen the degradation of our country, and I think it is past the point of no return. Those of you who have read, and I've suggested this many times, Fate of Empires, know that they have tracked the decline and the collapse of empires, throughout history, and find that the average lifespan of an empire, which the United States is about 250 years, and those things that can be tracked from its birth through its ascendancy to its peak, its descendancy and collapse are pretty common throughout all empires, and we are in the decline and close to the collapse of this one. If you haven't read it, you can find it online. It's John Glubb, Fate of Empires. Just Google it, PDF. You can. It's not that long. It's, I don't know, 25 pages, something like it. Print it out and read it. We have seen. So what we have seen is an increase in racial animosity, particularly against whites, by a number of groups. Okay, and there is a growing hatred of whites among blacks, a growing resentment with many Hispanics, an increase in the militant. How should I say this? Well, militant Islam is taking its effect on many of our cities, and all of these things are coming together, and they're coming together at a time to where the central core of the United States has itself fragmented. Okay, now you can go online and see all sorts of different videos calling for even the erasure of the white race. This is not by all blacks at all, or by all Hispanics, but it is by enough that it is creating a fissure in the national fabric that I think is very dangerous, and it's going to continue to rip. It's going to explode in certain places. It's going to be very, very dangerous for people who are caught up in it, and I don't think people realize it. And I want to read something here from it's a brilliant piece by Tom Usher, who I have called our poet laureate over on the Patreon channel, because it's in response to one that I put up, I think, Race War, or Get Ready for Race War, or something like that. Had a number of people come on and make comments on it. Interestingly enough, those who I believe are white said yes, they are seeing the hatred against whites. And this is really not a racial issue here. This is a matter of our country. Okay, so I want to make that clear. But a lot of people have said, yeah, we see it all the time. I mean, it's all over the news. Look at the things that have happened, like in Cincinnati. And then we had some of our black viewers come on and say, well, that's not how black people feel at all. Well, it is not the way, I hope it's not the way that most black people feel. Here's the problem. It is the way that enough people feel to cause a balkanization, a split, a violence to erupt in this country. And I think that it's maybe to the point there's no going back. And so we're going to have to look for a way forward on this. Okay, here's what I want to read from Tom. This is a history lesson that and I've talked a lot about this. I talk about it on here. I talk about it in my books. But I think Tom puts it so succinctly and so completely that if many of you aren't aware of a lot of this, you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to see what the problem is. And if you don't know, if you can't recognize the problem, you're not going to be ready for the problem it causes or the possible solution. Okay, let me have a sip, and I'm going to talk about out of our Stonemont mug. You can get these on our website. There's no backup on these. Okay, he said blacks got a raw deal in this country, and that made them susceptible as a group to covert and overt manipulation. The sense of guilt that a distinct group of white Americans feel for the sins of the past have made them susceptible to the same manipulation. I'll throw in this. There was a great video that was put out, and I will recommend this guy's channel. I don't remember his name. He's a black guy who responds to a lot of the race hatred out there. Excellent channel. I'm sorry that I don't remember it now, but I'll put it in on another one. And he put up a video by a woman who asked, should whites start training our children to hate other groups like those other groups train their children to hate whites in order to prepare our children to be able to deal with it? Now, I know it's not totally across the board, but there's enough in there that it's dangerous, okay? So the sense of guilt that as a distinct group of white Americans feel for the sins of the past has made them susceptible to the same manipulation. That's what it is, manipulation. This is coming to a head now in a war that race is part of and probably will be determined by future historians as the proximate cause, just as they have mistaken slavery for the cause of the Civil War. Right, slavery wasn't the cause of that. If you aren't aware of that, read my books. Okay, it wasn't a civil war anyway. Okay, but anyway, they call it that. As you mentioned in the video, most Americans really don't understand the late war of aggression or slavery in anything more than a cursory manner. It was not a war about freeing the slaves, though that was a propaganda point brilliantly deployed by Lincoln. This is a brilliant piece. The abolitionists were comprised of a very small group of Christian religious sects, descendants of the Puritans that settled the Northeast hundreds of years earlier. Those groups were used to set off a conflict in much the same way Antifa, there's our morning racer. I don't get irritated because that's what I did when I was that age. But our cars sounded so much better than this stuff, okay? So, in the same way Antifa and the woke movement is being used today. This is how small things can result in big things. We have too many people ignoring what's going on today, not realizing, because they all want to be concerned with Epstein files. They all want to be concerned with Russia and China and all this kind of stuff, and tariffs. They don't realize this is what's going to blow this country up. They're not paying attention. So most Americans, particularly in the North, cared little about blacks or slavery. Mostly the slaves were considered a subhuman people. The generally agreed thought was that if they were to be freed, they should be sent back to Africa. That's why the country of Liberia was created. Did you know that? Some of you did. Many people don't. Lincoln agreed with this. The war was fought over competing business and political interests. That's right. The oligarchs of the day, the northern industrialists, and the southern big ag plantation owners were fighting out the issues of tariffs and political representation in the newly forming states. While the Missouri Compromise, how many of you remember what the Missouri Compromise was? Okay, you heard about it in high school? Probably haven't heard about it since. That's why people don't remember. They didn't learn their history. Those who fail to remember history are destined to repeat it, right? George Santayana. While the Missouri Compromise had been an effective barrier against some of the political fighting, the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act changed everything by introducing popular sovereignty and destroying the Missouri Compromise. The northern industrialists had used their political power. Don't get bored. Listen to this. Learn from this, because this is going to explain what's coming in a minute. The northern industrialists had to use their political power to have tariffs placed against foreign competition, primarily England, that had been undercutting prices. This caused a good deal of problems for the agrarian South. It had very little in the way of manufacturing capability, and the primary source of revenue was the cotton that was shipped to English mills. The manufactured goods that the South relied on were coming from England on those same ships when they came to load cotton. Now the South was being forced to buy those goods from northern companies at inflated prices, while the demand for the cash crop was drying up. One more drink. Sip. Slurp. I do that to irritate the tender-hearted. One of those little known facts about the slave owners is that many of the small slaveholders were planning on freeing their slaves. The thing that they were most concerned about was the fact that the slaves were in no way ready for freedom due to a lack of education and understanding about life as a free person in a republic. Right. They thought it would take around 10 years to get them ready for it. Big Ag, on the other hand, needed slavery to function. Lots and lots of slavery. This is why people, with the illegals, picking vegetables and fruits out west in California. There were no tractors or combines back then, and these operations had many thousands of acres of land that needed to be worked. In this need for slavery, their northern counterparts shared a similar concern. While Big Ag had chattel slavery, Big Industry used wage slavery, importing the poor from overseas, many of them Irish, to work for subsistence wage, which would never allow them to leave the tenement world they existed in. Many of these foreign workers were promised that after a set amount of years, they would be freed from the contracts they signed, only to find their families torn apart and never-ending debt with the company store making freedom nearly impossible. How in the hell did I get off on this tangent, he asks. I did something to my foot the other day and I can't walk, so y'all are getting to feel some of the pain with me. Well, I love reading your stuff, Tom. After the war, these former slaves in the South were badly used by both the carpetbaggers from up north and the Southerners that didn't want their former property to have any say over them through political representation. Because, as the small slaveholders feared, these ex-slaves were not prepared for freedom. They became pawns in a power game of excess on both sides during the Reconstruction period. You all read about Reconstruction in high school, right? Overall, after a time, blacks in America did pretty well, considering where they'd come from. Many blacks had become lawyers, doctors, teachers, and highly skilled tradesmen. Their faith in strong families carried them through the worst of times. They were still facing an uphill struggle, as even a cursory glance at what they went through over the next 100 years after the war will show you. They had a lot of really good reasons for grievance, but they didn't let that hold them back. Then came the Great Society. Here we come, guys. Then came the Great Society, and you've heard me talk about this, in the 1960s. Lyndon Johnson was a racist, though I have to say, since I was around back then, so was pretty much everyone else. Blacks had been, for most of the years that had been free, stalwart Republican voters. Lincoln was the first Republican president, and rightly or wrongly, his party was viewed as the party that set the slaves free. That changed dramatically in the 60s. The Democrats, though they stood 100% against the Civil Rights Act, saw an opening. They created, championed, and oversaw the creation of the American welfare state, and they aimed it squarely at the black community. Through this incredible flow of government largesse, they were able to buy political support. Black community leadership was bought, and any opposition or call for black independence or a colorblind society was removed. The black family was slowly destroyed, and the church that had held it all together was replaced by the social worker and government cheese. Over time, these communities that had housed solid families with professional skills were decimated. Those that could get out did, The successful blacks moved into the white middle class and upper class neighborhoods, leaving the crime, broken families, and destructive life behind them. This became a self-reinforcing cycle of doom. And it created a black underclass, dependent, uneducated, and conditioned to violence as a way to solve problems. They were primed for a message of grievance and a demand for violent solutions to their problems. Enter the woke movement. Woke comes from the black community. It originally meant that a person was aware of all the things that had happened to their people throughout American history, filtered through a Marxist lens. It was used to inflame the already existing grievance and violence endemic to the poor black communities. When that sour fruit ripened and the seeds were taken and sown in the universities and white middle-class leftist communities, it took root, though not in its original form. It mutated into a violent Marxist, anarchist, fascist movement, well-funded and driven by the misplaced idealism of a bored youth looking for a cause and a way to fill a hole in their souls brought on by lives that had everything and nothing all at the same time. If that wasn't a brilliant sentence. All of this radicalism, which had been building over the last 60 years or so, paid off for those who started it. Young people, brought up steeped in this Marxist belief system, came of age and started to assume positions of power in government, business, and the society as a whole. Big business found that it could make more money by offshoring manufacturing. Some jobs, however, needed to be done locally, so the floodgates were opened and those jobs were onshored by unskilled third world immigrants that almost as though there were a plan in place supported the same sort of Marxist ideas built into the woke movement. And let's not forget the Islamists that came in through that same open door. They might not be Marxists, but they are more definitely want to see America destroyed. They will work alongside the Marxist and woke armies until, of course, they all eventually turn on each other. However, by that time, it won't matter to the America that will no longer exist. This is the war that is ready to explode. Race will be a part of it, but not the entirety. We are facing a wildly divergent set of enemies, all primed, armed, and placed in strategic position. We have never seen anything like this in our country, and we are not prepared for it. This will be a real civil war, and all of these groups and us fight for control of our country and government. No place will be safe or able to avoid it. It's coming at us like a freight train. Get as far from the track as you can and prepare for impact. That was one of the most brilliant things I've ever read. It encapsulated what I've said over and over and over again, but as far as I'm concerned, it puts it much more succinctly and in a way that people can gobble it up in one setting. This is what is happening in our country. It's what's been happening in our country. It's what's coming. I don't think there's any avoiding it. As Mike said in his book, as Tom said in his piece, the fragmentation of the ripping of the American fabric is unmendable. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you ready for it? What will it be like, and are you ready? Well, it's going to be violent. Some people think that they should run away and go live in the woods. I don't agree with that, because that's giving up the fight that is here in front of us. Many people, especially in the preparedness world, like to avoid politics except complaining about it. I think that's wrong, because the political fight is the fight that we have now. If we lose the fight, we are guaranteed the fight that Mike and Tom were talking about. If we win the fight, we might be able to avoid that. But it's my position, my suggestion, that you get involved in this fight politically, culturally. Raise your kids right, raise your grandkids right. Have an impact on the people you know, friends, neighbors. Educate them about this. And we might be able, I don't know, we might be able to save at least a piece of a balkanized America to start over, like they did in Stonemont, and rebuild the future we want our children and grandchildren to live in. All right, that's it. Think about it. I would suggest you rewind this, share this video, rewind this, listen to Mike's stuff that I read again, listen to Tom's stuff again that I read, and let it sink deep in there. Okay? Be ready. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be tough. And how tough it is on you will depend on how ready you are for it. Okay. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.